All right, Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. All right, that taught me this truth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. All right, the Yakim and the Aqua scattered around the four corners of the planet Earth. All right, this is the brother Arak from GMS Dallas, and I wanted to do a quick hit through the spirit. All right, a quick lesson, and I'll entitle it Misplaced Fear. All right, Misplaced Fear. Okay, and when you read the scriptures, you know, fear is it's something that comes up a lot. All right, it's something that comes up all throughout the volume of the book. You know, from Genesis, you know, to the Apocrypha, to the New Testament, so forth and so on. You know, you have it's in prophecy, it's everywhere. All right, and that right there should let you know that fear, it's important. All right, and more importantly than that, it's important where you place your fear. All right, because fear is something that we naturally have due to the fact that we are the creation. All right, we're the creation and we're not the creator. All right, meaning that, you know, all the power that there is, okay, in the heavens and the earth, all right, it didn't start with us. All right, we're the derivatives of that. All right, so with that being, you know, with that in mind, that right there should give you a certain level of fear, because we understand that there really is no such thing as free will. All right, there is no such thing as free will. Okay, that's why the scripture's going to, you know, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. All right, and some quick scriptures, you know, that kill, you know, the idea of free will. You know, Sirach 18, right, the first few verses. All right, and then I forget where else it is in Proverbs, where it talks about how man's goings are of the Lord. All right, man's goings are of the Lord. What does that mean? All right, that means that ain't no free will. All right, which points you to the direction of fearing Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. That's where your fear should be placed. All right, and we're coming into times, you know, to where if your fear is misplaced, or in other words, if your fear is in the wrong place, that can lead to your detriment and that can lead to your destruction. And we're going to get a few precepts on that. Lord's willing, this is edifying. All right, I'm going to start here in Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 12 and 13. Actually, matter of fact, let me start at verse 11. This is Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 11. It says, "For the Lord spake thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, Say ye not a confederacy to all them whom this people shall say a confederacy. Neither fear their fear, nor be afraid." All right. So again, I got to go back, and maybe I'll do a side listen to get more context on this particular chapter. All right, because when you read precepts, you know what I'm saying, you want to get, you know, the context of the chapter. All right, and what's going on in the history. But I'm gonna read this again. All right, and matter of fact, let me start up a little bit. Okay, right. So when you read up in this chapter, it's going basically into the Lord raising up the Assyrians. All right, and I'll start at verse 7, Isaiah 8 and 7. It says, "Now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth up upon them the waters of the river, and many, even the king of Assyria in all his glory." All right, and the Assyrians were the empire that was responsible for, subjugating and scattering the northern kingdom. You know, when you go into the history, it was the Assyrians. All right, Isaiah 10 and 1 is a scripture we pull a lot. Or, where it goes into the Assyrian being the rod of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah's anger. All right, because ultimately the other nations, Okay, they've been risen up to be the whooping stick of Yahweh Shem Shah. Esau Edom has been risen up. All right, basically to dish out punishment. All right, to the nation of Israel and the entire planet Earth. That's all he is. All he is a tool. Okay, but let's go back and read this. This is Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 8. It says, or matter of fact, verse 7 again. It says, even the king of Assyria and all his glory, and he shall come up over all his channels and go over all his banks. Right, going into basically expansion. All right, the expansion of territory. All right, verse 8. It says, and he shall pass through Judah, he shall overflow and go over, and he shall reach even to the neck. All right, because when you go into the history, the Assyrians did try to conquer the southern kingdom, but they were unsuccessful. All right, the Lord preserved the southern kingdom. So that's what it means when it says reach even to the neck. All right, because Judah, the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, those are the head, tribes. Judah being, basically, the top tribe, right? The scriptures talk about how out of Judah shall come forth my lawgiver, going into Yahweh Shah. All right, but then you have the Levites as well, who served as the priesthood. Okay, and then you had Benjamin, who geographically, if I'm not mistaken, sat directly in the center of the land of Judah. Okay, so they were synonymous with one another, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Okay, but this is Isaiah 8 and 8. It says, and he shall pass through Judah, he shall overflow and go over, he shall reach even to the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Emmanuel. Verse 9, it says, associate yourselves, O ye people, and ye shall be broken in pieces, and give ear, all ye of far countries, gird up yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Verse 10, it says, take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for God is with us. For the Lord spake thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, say ye not a confederacy to all them to whom this people shall say a confederacy. Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. All right, so our fear, because we see, what do we see happening now? All right, we see basically Esau setting the stage, okay, for the persecution of the ministry. All right, we see Esau about to come down with great wrath. All right, and a lot of guys in Israel, all right, other camps, guys with Bibles and platforms, they see what's coming as well, but the difference is their fear is misplaced. All right, their fear is misplaced. Okay, and to prove that, I'm going to jump to this precept. This is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 27 and 28. It says, what I tell you in the darkness, this is Yahweh Shai speaking. It says, what I tell you in darkness, that ye speak in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetop. So we've been commanded to speak what Yahweh Shem Shai wants us to speak. All right, I believe it's in Jeremiah 23. Jeremiah was commanded to diminish not a word. All right, diminish not a word is a phrase that comes to mind, meaning that we're commanded to give out the truth, man, the 100% truth, unfiltered, all right, unadulterated. Now we do season it with salt, all right, when need be, all right, because palates, sometimes you gotta, you gotta season it up a little bit, but the Lord commanded us to bring it out, man, and to tell you the things that he told us in secret through the Holy Spirit. All right, we ain't keeping it secret. Verse 28, Matthew 10 and 28, it says, and fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. All right, and Esau coming down with great wrath. All right, he's going to get, the scriptures do talk about martyrs. All right, but the scriptures say some people are going to be martyrs. Not everybody's going to be a martyr. And even if you are a martyr, Esau can't kill your legacy in the heavens. Esau can't kill, all right, you standing stiffly for Yahweh Shem Yahushua. He can't kill your reputation in the heavens. And that's all we're concerned with. We're concerned with what our reputation is, what our how we are looked upon by Yahweh Shem Yahushua when we have to stand before him. All right. So the scriptures, the scriptures go into self-examination. Part of self-examination is examining where your fear truly lies. Okay. Let me read verse 28, Matthew 10 and 28. It says, "And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell." All right. So your fear is supposed to be placed on Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, because ultimately Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, when it says hell right here, when you go into the word hell in the Old Testament, it goes into the grave. All right, it goes into the grave. Okay, but hell can also be likened unto a condition. Hell is not eternal fire, all right, where Satan is down there as an overseer, okay, of a giant, prison complex, where each cell has, is flames and charcoal fucking everywhere. That's Greek mythology, man. All right, let me read this verse again. It says, "But rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell." Right? Because Yahweh Shem Yahushua knows how to destroy your soul, how to crush your spirit. All right? He knows how to crush your spirit. And when you go to the grave, when you do die, all right, your spirit goes back to the heavens, all right, and you are judged accordingly. Okay, 2 Ezra 14 and 35. Right? After you're judged accordingly in the heavens, you play out that judgment on the planet Earth. All right? The Lord sends you back as a paraplegic. All right? The Lord can send you back and put you through an extremely traumatic, experience or situation, all right, that you deal with your whole life. That's what the scripture is talking about when it says, fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body. All right? And Yahweh Shem Yahushua is getting ready to destroy a lot of these people, soul and body. Okay? Via the plagues that's coming on Babylon the Great, the famine, the pestilence, civil war. All right? The destruction of families, right? This way of life. These people are about to get crushed through the spirit because they're proud, man. All right? And then after that, the Lord going to melt them, man. He's going to melt them, and they're going to come back in the kingdom as servants, as slaves. All right? Deuteronomy 30 and 7. Okay? Revelation, what I want to say, 12 or 13. All right? He who leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. All right? But let me get my next precept. I don't want to get too much off topic. We can finish with this. This is Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 33. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility." All right, I'm going to read that again. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom." So wisdom is teaching us how to fear the Lord. Wisdom is teaching us how we're supposed to, place, and move, all right, in fear. Because fear doesn't mean being timid, like the elders always say. All right, fear is not being timid. Okay, fear is a certain reverence and respect for the creation and what Yahweh Shem Yahushua has laid out. All right, there's a certain way you're supposed to operate. Okay, and understanding that. Okay. Hey, Shalom, Mak. Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatah. I'm gonna get this as well, just because I mentioned that. This is 2 Timothy chapter 1. This is 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7, it says, "For Yahweh Shem Shah have not given us the spirit of fear." All right. So again, you got to understand, the Lord hasn't given us the spirit of fear, man. All right. Let me read that again. 2 Timothy 1 and 7. It says, "For Yahweh Shem Shah have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." All right. So it's important that you understand where you're placing, your fear. Okay, your fear shouldn't be on the eyes of men. All right, your fear shouldn't be on, your life on this side and what's going to happen if you lose your job. What's going to happen if you lose your car, whatever it is, man. We're going to lose everything. Wrap your head around that too. We're going to lose everything, right? And it's a sacrifice. That's why the scriptures say, offer your body as a living sacrifice. We don't plan on taking none of this shit with us, man. Our reputation in the world, everything, we don't give a fuck. We don't give a shit, man. All right? Our fear is centered around how we're going to be received by Yahweh Shem Shah in the heavens. All right? But let me read a couple of these precepts real quick. This is from the brother Osmawaf, GMS Chosen Vessel 144, Shalom. It says, "Fear is nothing but the failure to use the help that reason gives." Wisdom of Solomon 17 and 12. All right, let me read that again. "Fear is nothing but the failure to use the help that reason gives." And that makes me think about that saying in the world, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. All right, fear is a weapon. Fear is a weapon that Esau, uses. All right, and fear is also a weapon that Satan uses to get you to stop doing particular things that Yahweh Shem Shah may want you to do. Think about that. We read verse 13. It says, "When you lack the confidence to rely on reason," and the reason that we use is faith. Hebrews 11 and 1. All right, for faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. All right, evidence is reason, logic, what man calls logic. All right, and really what man calls logic is low level. Faith is higher level than logic. It's super intelligence. This is let me read that again. It says, when you lack the confidence to rely on reason, you give in to the fears caused by ignorance. Whew! The fears caused by ignorance, man. All right, and that's gonna be the catch-22 for all these people that have been choosing to live ignorantly here in Babylon the Great. All right, ignorance is bliss, right? And 2/3 of our people who have just been choosing, all right, to continue to act like this truth ain't coming out, to act like they don't have to hearken unto anybody. All right, there's going to be a penalty for that, And then I'll read this as well. This is Romans 8:15. It says, "For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear," right? Because Yahweh Shem Shah freed us from that. All right, the truth shall set you free. All right, so what's the point of coming into this truth? The Lord done did what he did. He sacrificed himself, conquered death. What was the point of him doing all that if we were just going to come back in these times and be scared to death? Whether it's literal death, whether it's ego death. Because that's another thing, too. A lot of times it's just ego. A lot of times it's just ego. But that's why the scriptures say, he who serves me must deny himself, roughly paraphrasing. Let me finish that out. Romans 8:15, it says, "For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father." All right, yeah, we're crying out to be adopted, man. And that adoption really is immortality. All right, immortality. We are the sons of the living power. We are the sons of God. All right, princes of the power. And the power that we are chasing is immortality and eternal rulership. That's what we're striving for, you know. But I'm gonna go ahead and close it on that. Hey, the Water Brothers for the precepts, man. The water for real. Um, Want to go ahead and close it and give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Lord's willing, this quick hit was edifying. It was on my spirit. Just wanted to touch on that. And shalom for the next lesson.